Welcome to the St. Vrain Sports Report. We're glad to have you along with us because we've got a lot of sports to report on. There's a ton going on in high school sports right now, including an Athlete of the Week feature on a soccer player from Silver Creek High School. We're going to recap state softball and state cross country and get you up to date on what's going on in football and volleyball and all the other sports. So let's get right to it with some highlights, starting off with some volleyball and a big match last week. Niwot at Longmont, traditional rivals here. Natasha Tarakova serving for the Cougars, and Longmont's Peyton Johnson keeps it alive and then gets it back for the kill. Trojans serving, and Niwot with a nice job to get the ball back over the net. Doing a great job there, but Bridget Cuspel was there for to power home the kill. She had 12 kills on the night to lead everybody. More power from the Trojans as they set this one up for Ada Grace Creighton, and she delivers the kill for another Longmont point. Longmont's Rachel Mao serving, and that was starting a great volley here. Varshina Panagunti pups it over the net, followed by Lucy Keene of the Trojans with a nice play to keep it going. And then the Cougars with more solid defense, but the Trojans set up Johnson for another kill. She had a .429 attack percentage on the night and 8 kills. Trojans rolling at this point. Nice defense by Niwot, but Cuspel came through with yet another kill for the Trojans right there. And Longmont serving for the match. And it was a great point to end on. Niwot's Mackenzie Demmel goes for the kill, but Longmont's Emily Widham there for the dig, and Cuspel with a nice play at the net to keep it going. And then it's Niwot's Hannah Waldron going for the point, but it's Widham delivering another great dig to set up Johnson for the attack, and then Cuspel with a block to end it right there. Cuspel with 6 blocks, Widham with 8 digs, and Longmont gets the sweep, moving on, getting the victory over the Cougars. The Holy Family at Meade in football. Undefeated Mavericks taking on 3-4 Holy Family. Tigers knocking on the door, but a low snap leads to a bad handoff and a fumble with Meade's Jacob Bartholomew pouncing on the ball and giving the ball to the Mavericks offense. That's not a good thing for the opposition. Next play, Jake Wachter took the handoff and goes to his right, slips the tackle, and goes all the way to the left, and then he is gone as he goes 68 yards for the touchdown. It's so easy, they high-five along the way. 10 yards out from the end zone, they're already high-fiving. Great play for the Mavericks there. Braden Keys would add an 80-yard touchdown run. Then it was more great defense by the Mavs as Jacob Adams gets the sack near midfield. Keys then took the handoff and went 16 yards into the end zone for the touchdown. That would give them a 21-0 lead at the half. In the third quarter, Wachter would add a 72-yard pick six to give me the 28-0 lead, and then Holy Family finally gets on the board right there with this touchdown catch by Liam Gray. So 28-7 at that point. Fourth quarter, the Mavericks' Trey Ward picks off the Holy Family pass to end that scoring threat. One of 4 interceptions on the night for the Mavericks. Their defense is just playing fantastic right now. Moments later, Wachter would take the handoff and go 77 yards for the touchdown to put a cap on a dominating performance. 3 big plays for Wachter, touchdown runs of 68 and 77, and then the 72-yard pick six. Meade rolls in this one, and they stay undefeated with that victory. State softball, Raptors taking on Golden, and Silver Creek with an 8-game winning streak into their 3rd consecutive semifinals appearance. Top of the first inning, junior Maddie Keel crushed that pitch for a solo home run, and the Raptors, 1-0 at that point. The junior 2 for 3 in this game, and it was her 2nd home run of the season, so they brought the bats and looking good early on in this one. Bottom of the first, though, Golden's Mackenzie Middleton got things rolling with a double to right center, and there would be a lot of that for Golden, not only in this game, but in the next one as well. But she was followed by Marla Goodspeed, who hit a rocket for a 2-run homer to highlight a 3-run first inning for the Demons. So Silver Creek gets that first run, but Golden right back with a 3-run inning and puts the Raptors on their heels early on in this game. And the Raptors with a lot of great offense throughout the season, but not so much in this one. They were shut down. Later in the game, Haley Prey lays down the perfect squeeze bunt to score Middleton, and Golden then took a 7-1 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Runner on base for Silver Creek, and they catch a break with a Golden error, but they're caught overrunning second. And good thing there's no replay in high school. I think that tag was late, but the umpire called the Raptors out, and that's how the season would end. Silver Creek finishes 22-6 with another great run to the 4A semifinals. In the other semifinal, traditional rivals Erie and Holy Family. Erie 0-2 against Holy Family this season, but down 1-0 in the fourth. The bases were loaded for Jen Williams, and the senior comes through with a 2-run single to give the Tigers a 2-1 lead. She went 3 for 5 in this game, hit .556 with 8 RBIs in the state tournament. Next batter was Lauren Russell, and she unloaded on this pitch for a 3-run home run to left field. Russell's 9th home run of the season, and that gave Erie a 5-1 lead at that point. Tigers playing some pretty good defense in this one as well, as Megan Loveland, she makes a stop right there. The pitcher gets the inning-ending ground out at the bottom of the fourth to keep it at 5-1. And then Erie led 6-3 in the bottom of the sixth, and Holy Family threatening with the bases loaded, but shortstop Madison Vaughn makes a great play to get the final out and end that threat. After 2 Cat Sackett homers made it 9-3, Holy Family got 2 more in the seventh, but then a ground out here to first base to Kaylee Armstrong would end the game and send Erie back to the state title game, where they used to be so used to doing that many years ago, but back in it now in Class 4A. Erie taking on Golden in the 4A championship game. And Erie, they took a 2-1 lead in the top of the second after a Kaylee Armstrong homer and Jen Williams bloops the single into shallow right for an RBI right there. Then Lauren Russell, she would follow right there with a RBI single of her own to make it 4-1 at that point for Erie. Next batter would be Madison Vaughn, and she added an RBI single to make it 5-1 Erie. So they were looking great early on in this one. The bats were they were out all throughout this state tournament for the Erie Tigers. Bottom of the fourth, Erie leading 6-3 when Golden's Michaela Middleton smacked a 3-run homer to tie the game. All of a sudden, brand new game in the bottom of the fourth inning, 6-6 at that point. And then Golden, this inning is still going. They were threatening to add more in this inning, but Vaughn, she's going to get she makes the diving stop at shortstop and then comes up firing to nail a Demons runner at the plate for the inning-ending out. So keeps that threat down to just those 3 runs. Erie leading 7-6 in the bottom of the fifth when the Tigers defense let them down. A throwing error right there allows 2 runs, or with 2 outs, allows the tying run to score. And then a bobbled ball in the outfield here. The run might have scored anyway, but bobbled ball there would bring in another run to the plate. Demons took an 8-7 lead on those unearned runs right there. Now bottom of the seventh, Erie with a 9-8 lead and another throwing error, allowing the tying run. It was probably going to score anyway again on that ground out, but the score tied 9-9, still in the bottom of the seventh. Golden now with a chance for the walk-off with the bases loaded, but Erie gets a ground ball to end the inning and to go into extra innings. Now top of the 8th inning, it was Vaughn crushing a 2-run homer to left field to give the Tigers an 11-9 lead. Vaughn's second 2-run homer of the game. She went 4 for 5 with 5 RBIs in the game. Armstrong would add another 2-run homer in the inning, and then Alyssa Barnett on in relief at pitcher. She gets the inning-ending strikeout right there. Erie with its state record 12th state title in softball, the first one in 9 years. They won 10 state titles in Class 3A from 1998 to 2009, and then added a state title in Class 4A in 2010. This one might have been the most unlikely state title we've seen from Erie, however. They started 13-0 this season and looked like they might be a title team, but then went 5-8 in their last 13 games going into state. Got into state with a couple of wins at the regional tournament, but just 5-8 going into state, and then that included the 2 losses to Holy Family, and then they won 2 in a row to get to the semifinals, and then just kept the bats going into the semifinals. Let's take a look at all the softball results from around the area. First round, Silver Creek 1-0 over Coronado. Diabla knocks out Meade making its second trip to state. They lost 16-1. Erie with just a shootout there with Pueblo South, 18-14. Second round, Silver Creek and Erie both move on with good victories there. And then in the semifinals, we saw those highlights there. Golden over Silver Creek, Erie over Holy Family, and then Erie winning the championship over Golden 13-9. So congratulations to the Tigers, yet again the state champions in softball. Like I said, state record, 12th state title in softball, so the Erie Tigers back on top. One last thing in 3A softball, Lions was down there in Aurora as well, and they lost to Lyman 8-7 in the first round, but had a pretty good season for the Lions. State cross country was last week as well. Let's take a look at a couple of the highlights from that race down in Colorado Springs. And the first one coming in here is Roberts. Blanking on the name, Isaac Roberts. There's so many of those Roberts that it's hard to remember which one. Isaac Roberts, the fourth Roberts sibling to win an individual state title, who claims the Class 2A championship, and just another one of those great Roberts runners, one of those great Lions runners, actually. Here's another one of them, Quinn Gregg on the girls' side. She was the runner-up last year. She wins the state title in Class 2A this year with a fantastic finish there. And then in Class 4A boys, this is Cruz Culpepper from Niwot, and he, no pun intended, cruised to the championship in this one. 4A course record, 15 minutes and 36.1 seconds. Cruz Culpepper wins his second state title in a row. Let's take a look at the cross-country results from around the state. In 4A girls, Niwot, first place, Silver Creek 14th, Erie 20th. Look at the top 5 Niwot runners there, all 5 of them in the top 13, and they were just awesome in this race down here. A couple of the top notables locally was Abby Phosphate of Silver Creek and Emma Osborne, but Samarowit Dishon of Niwot wins the state title individually, and the Niwot girls win the team title. On the boys' side, Niwot, led by Cruz Culpepper, they won their first ever team title, and like I said, Culpepper in the state record course record in that race. Second consecutive state title for him. Zane Bergen was 12th for the Cougars. Other locals, Keegan Caldwell of Meade 19th, Connor McCormick of Longmont 29th. Then you see Erie and Silver Creek's top runners. Now Niwot, before this year, no team since Estes Park in 1995 had ever won all 4 state titles, meaning the boys and girls team titles and the boys and girls individual titles. Niwot just did that in Class 4A, but it was done twice this year. Lions did it as well. Let's take a look at the 2A results. On the girls' side, second consecutive state title for the Lions girls, third all-time. They also won in 2014. Quinn Gregg, she won the state title, runner-up last year to Fankhauser, who was 5th. Fankhauser battled mono earlier this year, so maybe not at full strength, but still a top 5 finish for her. On the boys' side, Lions, 6th state title in the last 8 years for the Lions boys. Isaac Roberts, like I said, the 4th Roberts sibling to win an individual state title. His career, he finished 7th as a freshman, 2nd as a sophomore, 3rd as a junior, and then wins the state title as a senior. And then you see the top Lions runners there. And then Twin Peaks, their team finished in 10th place, led by Giorgio Spenceri. So Twin Peaks did a great job down there as well. But hats off to those kids, Lions and Niwot, winning, just sweeping the state titles. First time that's been done since Estes Park in 1995 in Class 3A. So congratulations to all of those runners. A couple other notable things around the area. In football, the Class 4A rankings, Skyline is back in the rankings at number 10. And in Class 3A, Meade at number 2, Frederick at number 6. Those 2 teams have been holding those spots for several weeks now. They're 2 of only 3 undefeated teams in Class 3A, Conifer being the other one. In volleyball, let's check out the RPI rankings in volleyball as we come down to the last week of the regular season. Now, the top 32 do make it on to the playoffs, and so there's 3 teams right now that are looking pretty good. Meade at number 4, Erie at number 10, and Silver Creek at number 16. The Raptors, they beat Thompson Valley last week to finish 14-0 in the Northern Conference. Longmont and Skyline maybe with an outside shot if they can play well this week, but Frederick and Niwot on the outside looking in. In Class 2A, Lions at 44 will probably be on the outside looking in. But that seeding meeting for volleyball will be next Monday, so we'll talk about that next week as we preview the regionals in volleyball. 4A state soccer is starting later on this week. Let's take a look at the bracket there. And there's some local teams, 5 local teams overall in the state playoffs. Silver Creek, the number 4 seed overall, they will host Canyon City on Saturday. Now there's going to be a doubleheader over at Everly Montgomery Field, so a fun afternoon of soccer for all you local fans. Silver Creek at noon, Niwot at 2 o'clock. Silver Creek 12-1-2. They bring a 10-game winning streak into the tournament, and this is the best regular season record in program history by a half a game. So they lost to 5A number 1 seed Legacy in the opener, and then their other two blemishes, I guess you could call it, are ties with Skyview, the number 2 seed in 4A, and Golden, the number 3 seed. So Silver Creek, they can play with just about anybody in the state. Niwot, the number 15 seed, they get a chance to host. They are 10-5 overall. They had won 8 in a row before losing to Silver Creek 1-0 on penalty kicks last week. Erie, the 19th seed overall, they will travel to the number 14 Pueblo West. Erie, 10-4-1. They went 4-0-1 down the stretch. Sophomores Zach Crooks and Evan Hudson lead the way, 23 goals between them. Skyline, they get in at number 30. They got a tough task at number 3 Skyview, but Skyline, the Falcons 8-6-1, went 2-0-1 down the stretch. Skyview is undefeated, however, 13-0-2. They have outscored their opponents 68-11. The Falcons, Gabriel Sosa, by the way, great season for him, 14 goals, 8 assists. So Skyline, they've got a kind of a rebuilding program right now, but Gabriel Sosa and the Falcons looking for an upset this Saturday. And Silver Creek, they've been the top team in the area all year. I was able to catch up with their coach, Rob Johnson, to talk about not only the Raptors and their season, but also they've played all the other 4A teams that are playing right now, and he gave us kind of a breakdown of those teams as well.
We kind of pulled the trigger 3 years ago when they were all sophomores and they've been up here. And each year they get a little bit more mature. And this year we kind of put it on them. It's not me. It's about their senior year. What are you guys going to do? And they take it one game at a time, and they make sure to not look past that game. And they have matured a ton, and they're a good group of guys. So it's been great in that sense because, again, honestly, this year I'm not yelling too much. I'm kind of sitting there. I don't have to do as much, and I just get to watch them play great soccer. They've built off stuff from club. A lot of those guys play together, and then playing here for me, they know what I want. They know when to work hard. They know when they can slough off, and it's like, all right, take it easy down, but hey, now we got to pick it up a little bit, and they do pretty much anything I want. I think I've lost it like once this year on the team, but everything else has been great. Defensively, we're very good. I mean, Jacob Van In's our center back, 6'5". I mean, he's just dominating. Anders sitting there in the middle. Outside backs are doing a good job, and then with Dylan and Jace and Andrew, we just hold the middle. They just composed. As long as we create chances, and we do every game. Do we always put our chances in? Not always, but we create chances, and that's all I can ask for. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the goals. So 3 years now in a row, we've made the second round, and they did it a couple times before I got here, and that is that's been our big goal, is be the team go the farthest for Silver Creek. The 2 and the 3, we've tied both of them, Skyview and Golden. We tied them, one here and one at their place, and we can play with them. So we think we can beat anybody on any day, but we're also mature enough to realize we got to be smart and not not slip up. Yeah, so I mean, Skyline I think is the lowest seed. I knew a lot of those guys. I coached a lot of those guys last year in club when they were seniors. So this was a rebuilding year for Luis, and he's done a great job getting into the playoffs. And I think they can hang with anybody. We played Erie way early. Jeff does a great job with that team, and that program is just getting better each year. And then we played Niwot, who we beat on a PK for the Northern League Championship, so they're very good. Demet there does a very good job on getting it organized, and they're going to cause some problems in the playoffs. I think they'll go deep.
Thank you very much to Coach Johnson, who has done a great job over at Silver Creek and has been coaching in this area for a long time. So appreciate him giving us a little bit of a breakdown of the other local teams as well. I want to mention in Class 3A, Meade has qualified as well. Let's take a look at their matchup. They go to Arupe Jesuit. Now the Mavericks are the number 24 seed overall, and they come in at 10-5. Arupe Jesuit 12-2-1. Now Meade, a fantastic story. The dropping down to 3A really helped that program. But before this year, the previous 5 years as a program, 7-66-1 was their all-time record, including a 46-game winning streak. And they had a 50-game stretch where they went 0-49-1. They snapped that almost exactly a year ago and have been playing pretty good soccer since then. 5 players this year with between 4 and 6 goals, so they spread that ball around pretty well. And goalkeeper Hayden Munro, the senior, is playing pretty good soccer as well. So Meade really benefiting from that drop down, but really helped them. But it's nice to see them get some confidence and get some a winning program going here. I wish them luck in Class 3A. Now in Class 4A, Rob Johnson, his team is led by a senior, Dylan Weiss, who's been with that program for 3 years, doing a great job this season. He is leading that team in scoring with 13 goals, 6 assists. He's got 21 goals in his career, and we were able to catch up with him as our Athlete of the Week.
This season has been really fun for me in particular and the group as well, as we have 13 seniors on the squad, and it's a really good group, and it's a rarity to have so many seniors on a varsity team like that. So it's been really cool for the group of us to play together for the past 3 years. And with going undefeated 7-0 in conference and looking forward to the future playoff games, we got a lot of hype and a lot of energy rolling into it together. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I played with a majority of these kids since I was 5 or 6, and to be able to continue to play with a bunch of them through the high school career and into the senior year, it's been a whole lot of fun together. My role hasn't changed too much. I guess it's just right place, right time, and whoever can finish, finishes, and we just try and score as many as we can and win as many games as possible. Yeah, it's been an absolute blast, especially having, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I had a 2-goal game, then a hat trick, then another 2-goal game, and just running through that was a blast for sure. So my first involvement in the sport came when I was 5 or 6, and some of my close school friends, their dad was coaching a team, so I joined the team, and then my dad ended up coaching me with that team for a little later, and then I started to develop a love for the game, and then I continued playing up until I think it was 8th grade year, and I wanted to go bigger and better, and then I joined the Colorado Rapids and played DA for a while, and the DA turned out to be a different situation than I would have hoped, and I got pretty burned out, and I honestly might have been done with the game after freshman year. But then I came back here for the high school, talking to some of the guys that played freshman year, and talked to Rob about what the program was like, and I figured this would be a really awesome bounce back, and playing together after that kind of upset year down at Rapids, coming back to play for this high school team, and for Rob in particular, it's been awesome. What I want to accomplish before I'm done here is this program on the men's soccer side has never made it past second round, and the goal is to win state, like everyone's is, but right now we got to take it a game at a time, but getting past that second round is the big accomplishment for us, and especially me.
Thank you very much to Dylan for giving us some of his time there. Wish him and the Raptors a lot of luck in the state tournament beginning on Saturday against Canyon City. Let's get to some football and take a look at last week's scores around the area. Longmont defeated Brighton, a big one for them. Keegan Patterson, 18 for 30, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also ran the ball 34 times for 109 yards and a touchdown. Sage Yazzie, 6 catches, a couple of touchdowns there. You saw the Meade highlights there. They roll over Holy Family. Last 3 games, they've outscored their opposition 137-7. So they're rolling along right along as they head towards the end of the stretch, or the stretch run here. Skyline over Greeley Central, 56-14. Chase Silva, 2 touchdown passes, 1 touchdown run. Mike McCrolla with a couple of touchdown runs there. Loveland with a big win over Silver Creek. The Raptors are 1-4 in their last 5 games. Northridge over Niwot. The Cougars are struggling here in the second half of the season. Aiden Bartko with a couple of touchdown passes, though. Liam Flanagan got in to the end zone with a run. Erie over Roosevelt, 42-32. 3rd win in a row for the Tigers. Frederick, they keep rolling along as well. Jake Green, 7 for 10, 154, 2 touchdowns. Also ran for 2 scores. Brandon Hornby, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns on 4 rushes, and also had 2 catches and a touchdown. And Highland beat Lions 55-7 to keep the Lions winless at this point with 1 game left in the regular season. Well, let's take our first check at the standings this season as we're coming down the stretch to see where everybody is in league play, starting with the Northern Conference, where Broomfield is leading things right now, but Longmont is right there in that logjam at second place. They've got a chance to maybe make a run at that title during the next 2 weeks. Longmont number 16 right now in the RPI rankings, by the way, so they are just on that playoff edge going into the final 2 weeks. In the 4A Longs Peak, Skyline tied atop with Loveland atop the conference here, so they are looking for a potential league championship there. Skyline number 8 right now in the RPI rankings. Silver Creek is at number 20, so they've got a shot to make the playoffs, but like I said, 1-4 in the last 5 games. They've got to play well down the stretch if they want to make the playoffs. In the 3A Northern Metro, Meade and Frederick are running away with this thing, both at 3-0 in the conference. Meade number 2 in the RPI, Frederick number 7. So both those teams really barring some sort of, not even a disaster. They're both going to get in the playoffs, but it's just a matter of what their seeding is going to be. But they are headed for a showdown in Week 10 for that league championship. In the North Valley League, Erie is tied with Fort Morgan for the league championship for the league lead right now. Erie, the number 11 team right now in the RPI rankings, they are playing well in conference play. Niwot at 39, so they're going to have to make quite a run the last 2 weeks and still probably not be able to make up enough ground to get into the playoffs. But the Cougars obviously hoping for a strong finish to get to that 500 mark. And in the 1A Northern League, Lions down there at the bottom, 0-8, but they've got a shot to get that first victory later on this week. So with that, there's some big games coming up this week, but really it's next week. That's the big one. There's going to be a ton of big games, but let's take a look at this week's schedule in football right now. Fort Collins at Skyline. Falcons a 5-game winning streak as they play on Thursday night over at the stadium. Thompson Valley at Erie. That'll be a big one for the Tigers. Frederick at Skyview. Warriors, get this, the highest scoring team. They're the highest scoring 11-man team in the state, regardless of classification. 49.9 points per game. They are number 2 on defense in Class 3A, 12.3 points per game. The number 1 team on defense, we're going to talk about them here in a second. They are at Skyview, should be able to get a victory there. Silver Creek at Monarch on Friday night at 7 o'clock. Mountain View at Longmont. The Raptors and Trojans both need victories in a big way. Niwot at Fort Morgan. That'll be a tough one as the Cougars take on first place Fort Morgan there. On Saturday, Meade at Denver North. The number 1 team in 3A for defense, that's the Mavericks. They're giving up 8.6 points per game, and they should be able to get a victory against Denver North on Saturday. And then Lions at the Pinnacle, and Lions, their last chance of the season. They've got an 18-game losing streak, but they're taking on a Pinnacle team that both those teams have struggled and struggled to score, struggled to win. So hopefully the Lions can get that first victory later on this week. We want to thank Blaine Robinson and Don Gurton for all the behind-the-scenes work they do on the show, as well as Blaine and Tim Ellis and also Quinn McCain for the video that they get for us every single week. We appreciate all of their efforts. Check out bocopreps.com and the Longmont Times Call. They'll get you up to date on everything that's going on in high school sports in the area. Also, like us on Facebook and check us out on the web at longmontchannel.com, where you can watch this or any other programs you like here on Channel 8. And as always, we want to thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you again next week.